Hello.
Hiya, mate.
Hey, how's it going, man?
How you doing?
Um,
Cornelius? No, Neil. Neil, isn't it? Or
it's whichever you prefer. It's Cornelius on my birth certificate, but
is that
oh,
right?
yeah,
I'll,
yeah.
I'll
Neil
keep
short
that.
for Cornelius. Yeah,
Nice one, man. I keep that. There's not many Corneliuses around, right? I
there's
guess.
very few. There is my full name is actually Cornelius James Corkery, and one day on Facebook, I actually found another Cornelius James Corkery, and I
Right.
sent him a message being like, "Do you want to be mates?" Like,
Yeah, yeah, right, right. Yeah, that's. Hey, one sec. I'll just close the door. One second.
no bother.
Uh,
There we go.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Hopefully the connection's all right.
Sounds good on my end. It's good to you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's fine. Yeah, I'm just in my daughter's bedroom at the moment because just it's a bit, like I got two kids and
Yeah.
people crawling around, around the house and.
I've banished my girlfriend to the bedroom now.
Oh yeah, that's banished is the word, is the correct word. So I'm banished.
You're
I'm banished
banished.
into here, and
How,
this is yeah,
how have you been keeping yourself busy then during the lockdown?
just much the same. To be honest, like what I'm usually doing is sitting here with a guitar, looking at a camera, and
Yeah.
so more of that, even more of that, and trying to stay a bit healthy, mind and body, all the typical
A few
things.
a few of these, mate.
Are you serious? Look at
Yeah,
that.
man. And I'll tell you what else as well. A lot of years ago, you did a thing called the Nolan cast. Do you remember
Oh,
that?
that was literally
That
years
was a
ago.
while
Yeah,
ago.
yeah.
It was just that when I was first getting into Gypsy Jazz and I found it. And I think the first episode you did, and I was expecting all this like stuff about guitar and that, and it was actually just like a healthy living
Yeah,
episode.
I know, I know. So that must have been when well, so 10 years ago, that must have been about 10 years ago.
Mm,
Basically, I got sober, right? So it's like,
yeah,
I,
man.
that's just what happened to me. I'm just one of those guys that shouldn't drink, can't drink. It took me 40 years to figure that out. And then, of course, I got obsessed by all that stuff,
Yeah,
like
well,
health and,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, it was then that I discovered this, and I've been on and off these for ever since. So
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, that's great, man. I was kind of evangelical about it in the beginning, like you've got
yeah, man.
now I'm kind of like I don't go on about it much anymore. And it's more in vogue now, all the green smoothies and
Yeah,
all
you
that.
can. There's like green smoothie bars popping up everywhere. I mean,
Exactly. So it's not such a big deal. But 10 years ago, I was like, you got to do it. And it's like,
yeah.
but that's cool. So what's the story? So where are you? You're in England somewhere.
Yeah, I'm based in London nowadays.
Okay.
I'm from York originally, but
From
moved on.
York.
Yeah, 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 just outside of York.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah, I came down to London, one because I mean I've been living in York City for maybe 3 or 4 years, and there was actually a really good gypsy jazz scene there for a town the size of it. Leeds, just down the
Sure.
road, has like a conservatoire with a jazz course on it.
I was at
So,
Leeds years
oh
ago.
really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh wow, amazing.
That's where I kind of, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so a lot of the graduates from there stick around, and a lot of them are in York. So it made a good, yeah.
Oh, that's nice. So how long have you been there then?
About 3 years now.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
What took you to Amsterdam, Avi? Because that's where you're based, right?
Yeah, I'm in Amsterdam. Been here for years. We were living in London. I'm not from London, but we were living there, and that's when we went to the Samoa. We did back in the day, and we got like everyone else we
Yeah, man.
just wanted to be gypsies. We wanted to play this music. Didn't have a clue how. Still don't really, but anyway, we just had a friend who was living in Amsterdam, said you could come and stay. So we wanted to busk basically. So in London, busking was like a pain in the ass. Probably is still today. Actually, it is
Yeah, not much
here.
has changed. Yeah,
It was like Covent Garden. You had to get a license and queue up with all the other classical people
yeah.
and
All the talented people.
yeah, yeah, all the real kind of musicians. And there wasn't really. So we were scratching around. I guess just not, like trying to get a little gig in a pub and just totally skint and
It
but
all sounds very
one
familiar. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, and wanted to busk. So we made these CDs and we just went to Amsterdam and we just suddenly got on this square here, and the police guy, was friendly and this was back in the 90s. and he just said, go for it. And we just started playing, and we just immediately, as you do when it's a good scene, we just, we met a load of people, we had crowds, we sold all our CDs. We just got such a great reception. And for the first time, actually had a bit of cash in our pockets. And, it was so much fun. We just didn't leave, basically,
So you'd say that the busking scene is a bit friendlier over there in...
It was, it's changed here a bit, just like in the rest of the world, really, where there's more regulations. And,
Sure.
At that time, it was just sweet spot where you could play, with an amp and sell and not kind of be... It was a really thriving scene, the busking scene here. There was like all those South American bands selling, and it was just a real great laugh, and so that's what brought us over here. And in London, we were like, we just had we managed to get a residency, for like, a few quid each, and high rent, and the usual story, and not really. And here it was just like we could literally go there every day and play, So we just used to do that. We did that for like 10 years.
Seems, it makes sense, really, yeah.
Yeah. So that was fun. That's what originally brought us here. But,
now, here's the thing, because you're obviously quite a famous guitar player. You're also a very famous educator. You've done a lot of online stuff. You've written books. And that's where a lot of people, myself included, first learned how to play gypsy jazz.
Yeah.
But if you wrote those books, well, what were you learning from first learning gypsy jazz? How did you guys learn to play this stuff back then?
Yeah, well, totally hit and miss. It was like basically before the internet. So, when we were in London, basically, we heard from a mate that this might be this festival in this place called Samoa-Sasane. It was all so exotic, and no Google Maps and all that stuff. And it's just like, where and when, and it might be this weekend. So that we kind of went on a whim, down there with me dad. And then it was all romantic and all fantastic, like Samoa is.
Sure.
And that's where we got the inspiration. And we kind of that was the first time we saw actual guys, playing these guitars, and just like everyone else is just blown away, it's like never seen anything like it. I think Seresta, the album from Rosenberg Trio, just came out.
Nice.
The Angelo DeBar album, the Gypsy Guitars from John Larson's label. So it was just like, those albums still kill, still the best playing.
Absolutely.
But yeah, playing it was another thing. I could kind of play blues and a bit of, I was kind of into fusion before that,
Okay.
I started, out with Beatles, Stones.
Okay, yeah.
And kind of playing a bit of jazz, but it never really got off the ground. That's what I was doing in London originally, a couple of gigs down to 606, and kind of it didn't really... Can
I just ask, because there's so many guitar players like that start off doing a bit of blues, a bit of rock, and then jazz, and I think it's incredible. But there's such a learning curve to try and make it happen, and a lot of people try a bit, and they stop, and they try again. What was it? I mean, what was the, how did you make that leap? Because, like I say, for me, it'll be some YouTube video of a guy explaining it with numbers and chords.
Yeah.
What was it for you that helped you learn how to improvise this stuff?
Well, literally, there wasn't really any particular guide. It was literally kind of selling the ES-125 or whatever, the Gibson I was playing, and then getting one of these kind of things. I got a John Lavoie. My dad bought me this John Lavoie, and it was basically just suddenly not having a drummer but having a rhythm player. It was this older guy I know, still a good friend of mine, who knew the Django stuff, played a little bit of a strange style, but he taught me like Swing 42 and like Douce Ambiance and just kind of the basic melodies. And I basically just played kind of like still. I played the guitar just like I was playing the guitar before, but suddenly it was one of these, and the rhythm was a bit different, but I was still kind of improvising, still in the kind of the way I was, and I never learned. So I just kind of, and by busking, we were literally playing every day. So, I mean,
good practice, yeah.
We had 5 tunes, then 6 tunes, then 10 tunes, and we would just keep repeating them, and we would just kind of explore, get these chord changes and hear little bits. Of course, we did visit Stockolo and those guys. I got to know those guys years ago.
Amazing.
and they're so, sweethearts and friendly and everything, and
Yeah.
really, really encouraging, but also encouraging with being a little bit different. Still to this day, it's kind of like I've never really, I never copied a Django solo because it was like it's too hard.
Yeah. Tell me about it. Yeah.
And all that kind of shredding stuff. So I've kind of always just kind of done it a little bit just the way I do it, and I've kind of updated my playing and hopefully kind of improved over the years, but just kind of always kept my identity kind of
Yeah,
thing.
man. Because when I hear you play, like, there's obviously Django, but there's loads of other things going on, and like there's something that I just want to ask you about. Just if I put the guitar here.
Okay.
There was this awesome like 3 videos you did with your brother on rhythm, and you were playing, I think, an Imer guitar.
Okay.
And you did 3 tunes. You did Nuage, you did Paquito, and Anniversary Song.
Oh yeah, I remember those videos. Yeah.
And it's really, Jesus, great playing. But there were so many fun guitar-y licks that aren't really necessarily gypsy jazzy licks. And there's one in particular I really want to ask you about.
Oh,
like
I know it.
No, it's just like, I don't know where it comes from, but maybe you could sort of talk a bit about where these non-gypsy jazz ideas come from. Now,
yeah,
I think it was just over an A minor chord, but you did this like.
Oh yeah.
I think it was that. Yeah. Yeah.
Over A minor, so then you've got. But so, I might have gone something like. I've heard Borelli do that, but like really well, but like. So it's using.
Okay.
These notes. So it's like. And then. So it's like 12 to the 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 12 to the 17th on each of those notes.
That kind of thing.
Exactly. So, yeah. but that kind of, I've always used that. It's kind of like a Mike. That comes from a kind of Mike Stern kind of idea. Like.
Yeah, man.
Those kind of things are like. I think Mike Stern kind of maybe inspired that kind of thing.
And so there's one there. I mean, who are the guitar players that are kind of inspiring you and helping you learn outside of Django and gypsy jazz? Because obviously you do George Harrison project. You've done covers of Bob Dylan tunes, Tainted Love, and so there's a lot of influences that you're into.
Yeah, true.
Where are you drawing from outside of gypsy jazz when it comes to your improvisation?
Yeah, I love John Scofield because I just like to hear him play because he kind of struggles a bit with technique kind of thing. So I like to hear him kind of get around changes and not just kind of be all glossy and
sure.
So I kind of sometimes that kind of inspires me. I love the flamenco players like Vicente Amigo. Mm-hmm. I like those guys a lot. Who else? Yeah. The usuals probably. There's probably not like, I'm not going to say a name, which is going to be, oh, really?
Okay.
I do like, for the feel, I love Angus Young,
Yeah.
And I'd have to say Borelli, not that I play like Borelli, but I just, not just for his monster chop stuff, but for his feel and the kind of feel that he gets in notes.
Absolutely.
And his timing is kind of, is always like dead groovy. So I like a lot of the humor and the kind of his kind of playing. It's very playful. Like
absolutely. Well, one thing Borelli does, I think, is in the same way that Django would do, is I think he utilizes the guitar to its strengths. So he does things that you can do in the guitar that you can't necessarily do on other instruments.
Right.
So with Django, of course, you used to have all the kind of the little bends like that, or the whatever. Or
exactly.
I love it when people play their instruments and make the instrument do what it does very well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like those bends, like doing that kind of stuff. I like just like stuff which isn't really theoretical, but just going like
Yeah,
using register. So if you go like and using different registers, I think that's something you can easily apply to your playing without thinking, well, what is that Mixolydian Lockerian thing? It's just like using the guitar. That kind of adds a kind of humoristic, kind of human element to it somehow.
Yeah, I think there is a tendency with jazz musicians, and this isn't a negative criticism, but there is a tendency of, I want to learn jazz, therefore I should learn to play the most modern outside thing, and the more modern, the better. And I think you can sound so musical and have a really potent sound with stuff that isn't necessarily harmonically complex.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm all about that, because obviously I'm doing a lot of teaching now and helping a lot of players, and I get a lot of questions, and it's like, I honestly don't think that complex at all. It's basically major or minor or a dominant seventh.
Absolutely, yeah.
If you want to get a bit weird, you could go up a fret, go back down a fret. There's a lot of chromatics which stick it all together anyway. So there's only so many notes from A to B. So it's kind of like, well, lucky on the guitar, if you played sax, you'd have to really understand that, or piano, you'd have all those keys, but here we're just kind of sliding up and down. So
sax sounds like way too much hard work.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
know how they do it.
Exactly, yeah.
So tell me this then, because obviously nobody's doing any gigs at the minute. We've got the COVID.
Yeah.
We don't know how long this is going to last, and with every week that goes by, there's another venue that is probably going to have to close down. Now, whenever this does subside, this lockdown, I think there's going to be a lot of musicians, there's going to be a lot less venues. And so I think we're all going to have to, we're going to have to adapt. We're all going to go online. I mean, how do you think things are going to change for musicians?
It's, the conversation we're having now, every other musician is having at the moment.
Yeah.
And the truth is, we don't really know. Some of us have got more concrete. I don't really have like solid ideas on how it will be. It definitely is, it's kind of changed forever a little bit. I mean, the gig situation, it's just hard to imagine it being the same. It's difficult enough, isn't it? I mean,
absolutely.
Like we were saying in the beginning about being a jazz guitarist or a gypsy jazz guitarist and trying to make a living playing gigs, when there's not that many venues and the pay's lousy, and it's like, it's difficult enough. So now you can imagine, like you say, some venues saying, well, we'll just knock it on the head for music. We'll just, that's how they're going to kind of like economize or. So I don't really know. And obviously everyone's exploring the online territory, like you're doing now. And these things are really positive, I find. And obviously there's been a lot of positivity coming from the community, every musical community, a lot of talent pouring out, which you haven't seen before. And it's kind of looking for a place to go. Obviously if you're already established, like Tommy Emmanuel did an online concert last week, $15 a ticket. Probably sold like 1,000 tickets.
Probably made more money on that gig than a normal gig.
And he sat in his room like this, just plugged into his AER, and away you go. If Paul McCartney did that, no worries. But if you're kind of up and you haven't made your name yet, it's kind of tough. It's really tough, and so that's the performance side of it. And I've seen other players, kind of stick out the hand and put a PayPal thing up, and that's, I'm not sure if that's the best way, and I'm not, I don't know if you can really make a living doing it like that.
Yeah.
And there's the teaching. Obviously now everyone's an expert teacher. Well, there's a lot of experts around, so it's, now everyone's offering lessons, of course, which is totally good, right?
Yeah.
And but it's all kind of shuffling around, trying to sort itself out, and I'm not sure exactly, but
I guess nobody's really got a quick answer to this, I suppose.
Yeah. No, someone like myself I've been doing the online kind of thing for the last 10 years almost. So it's like, kind of
Yeah.
it's kind of I'm used to this kind of stuff.
Now, speaking of cancelled gigs, obviously you were just kind of rolling out the Harrison project, the George Harrison project.
Right.
Because you were that was the gig you were doing at the Green Note this month.
Right. In London, yeah.
Yeah. Could you tell us a bit about that? Like, is this? Yeah. What's it all about?
Yeah. Well, like I said, we used to busk on this square in Amsterdam, and one day it was like the gardener from George Harrison walked past and bought a CD and gave it to George, basically.
Uh-huh.
And then amazingly enough, George called me up and he said, "Would you like to come and play at a Christmas party he was having at Friar Park, which is his place?"
What did you? How did that feel? Did you think did you believe it was him? Because
no, not at all. No, it's absolutely just life changing, unbelievable, ridiculous. Still don't believe, but it was true. And we went over there in about 96 or 95. We went over to Friar Park and we played in his house. And of course, he was fantastic, great, encouraging, and normal guy. And yeah, so anyway, that's the first time I met him. And then many times after that, him and Olivia, his wife, and Danny, his son, I played many times over there for Danny's 21st, for Olivia's party, for whatever. So I got to know him a bit before he passed away. I played at his wake also at Friar Park, and met all those guys. And it was always amazing, of course, playing one day, playing for the Beatles, next day playing on the street kind of thing. But always inspiring. But yeah, just recently, I've always wanted to kind of bring it together and explore. I didn't really know his songs as well. I'm kind of exploring that whole project thing now. And I've done a bit of that before. I made the AC/DC album where I kind of took AC/DC songs and worked out how to do it Gypsy Jazz style, which was really challenging because some of those melodies are like Back in Black, I hit the sack.
Yeah.
It's not really
much to work with.
It's kind of like, it's like one note or two notes. But the Harrison thing is like really rich.
Yeah.
So it's trying to do it. It's trying to not make it sound corny or, you know what I mean? So you can hear Beatles songs or those kind of songs in a supermarket, and it sounds like, or in a lounge or something. I'm trying to make them a bit edgy and put my own character in it. So I've really been taking my time with that and just exploring his repertoire. And so I've got like 8 or 10 tunes. I haven't recorded the album yet.
Okay.
And I'm just working at arrangements of that. I've got Hank Marvin, the guitarist. He's recorded on Something, which is one of his songs. And
amazing.
Martin Taylor's going to record on All Things Must Pass, and a few other guests like John Jorgensen. And yeah, so it's just I really want to do it well. And that gig in Camden was like that was a little bit premature, actually, to be honest, of announcing that thing. But I know that it was billed as that, but it will happen.
Yeah,
and it's really exciting. It's a real challenge, kind of playing heavy, big songs and doing them justice, instrumentally, kind of thing.
What's really fun about it is Gypsy Jazz, to me, it has this really strong identity. It's got this, pumping rhythm. It's got this strong kind of harmony. The flavor is really kind of, you could recognize it a mile off.
Yeah.
And that's his biggest strength, but it's also kind of a weakness because it's hard to tamper with it.
Right.
It's hard to, as soon as you get rid of that Le Pomp, it's like, well, is it Gypsy Jazz? Is it not? So doing these arrangements of George Harrison tunes and stuff, it must be difficult to, I don't know, keep it Gypsy Jazz and, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I know. That's a great question. And it's kind of like, I'm not really thinking Gypsy Jazz, even though I said, Gypsy Jazz. It's like, it just so happens that I always love playing these kind of guitars for their sound and their kind of character. And yeah, it's a good question. So I'm not really consciously thinking, but I am thinking, I don't know. Let me think. What do you think? Yeah.
Well, it's tricky because So I've done a lot like wedding gigs where you bring your Gypsy Jazz trio and you play pop songs that people know, right? It's a winner. And some songs seem to fit perfectly and some don't. And some we really wanted to work, but to get it to work, it had to kind of break the Gypsy Jazz mold into something else. Now, that's not unhealthy necessarily. And I think, because again, Gypsy Jazz, if you think about it, it's been going on for decades and decades and decades, and each new generation learns the traditional way, and it's still the most popular by a mile. Whereas, say, rock music, rock and roll or whatever, each generation learns it kind of different from the next. It evolves. Gypsy Jazz struggles to evolve in that way. You know
I mean the rhythm, you know, like you mentioned, the rhythm that kind of, we all know that kind of defines it. As soon as the rhythm player stops, then it's like, ooh. Like you're still playing your hip lines and the bass players, but it's it changes to something else. There's different schools of rhythm, isn't there? There's like Adrian Wanyard doesn't play rhythm. When he plays rhythm, he's not going to play it like Chavelo Schmidt plays.
Yeah, of course.
Well, there's very kind of characterful, kind of more gypsy style rhythm. It kind of evolves. It was getting a little bit more subtle and light, like in those modern Paris guys. Also, there's guys in London which I've seen play amazing. I can't remember his name, but more the younger guys playing the kind of rhythm. It's not as kind of heavy. It's a bit lighter, which I love as well. Rocky Grissett, unbelievable player.
Absolutely.
And if you think about it, I mean, it's about swing and jazz and without sounding clunky. It's like, I mean, it's I like the French guys a lot because it's all about jazz, and swing. It's not so categorized in gypsy jazz kind of.
And of course, you got to remember that Django saw his music as jazz. He just said, of course, strictly as jazz. Of
course, he never heard of gypsy jazz, and that's a genius who's always moving and always going forward, and the rest of us are kind of latching on to a little bit of the wake,
right?
That he left and taking that. And people resonate with the nostalgia of the 30s. People like getting dressed up with bow ties or whatever, slicking their hair, and fair enough,
Yeah, I've never been very good at that part myself. It just doesn't work.
No, exactly. But you see people do that, and that's what they perceive,
Yeah.
And it's interesting.
It's funny actually because I've got pretty long hair and a big beard, and as a kid I was really into rock music, so I sort of got the hair, and then I was playing in a rock band for a while. But when I got into the jazz, I kind of wanted to cut the hair a bit because it's just because you get a gig and it's some event like a Great Gatsby style event. Everybody's dressed up, looking cool, looking slick. It looks like fun. And then the sort of Neanderthal caveman walks into the room with a big beard, and you just sort of look out of place. But unfortunately, I think if I cut my hair, and my beard, my girlfriend would leave me pretty quickly. So she'd be out. Yeah. So we'll just have to put it with the caveman for now.
I would definitely keep it, and I think that goes for any kind of idiosyncrasies or anything which is perceived to be out of this music. And I advise, I'm always recommending guitarists like keep that as well. Players who are already really good at something like tango guitar or metal or like, well, you don't have to start again, and you don't have to scrub up to play this. Right. You should be yourself. And that is the only way it's going to evolve. If we're all trying to just pretend to be someone else and play a certain thing, I'm not really interested in that. It's great to see the diversity come through.
Well, next time I get a dress code to be smart at a gig, I'll say, no, man, Robin Nolan told me. He's told me I can wear what I want.
No. I think it's way bigger than that. I think appearances and stuff. I mean, you look great, mate.
We're doing our best. So
I'm jealous of that.
Yeah, I don't think I'll go bald. I think this is definitely sticking around for a while. This. So you've obviously been. I guess was it in the 90s that you moved to Amsterdam?
Yeah.
And you've just been doing the music ever since, I guess.
Yeah.
So you must have seen a lot of changes in the scene, especially in the gypsy jazz community, which, I mean, I still see it as a small niche community now, but it must seem ginormous to how it was back in the day.
Yeah, exactly. We had we have a weekly Zoom in the Gypsy Jazz Club, which I run, and we had it with Martin Taylor the other night.
Yeah.
And he, he's older than me, he's been around, and he was saying like when it was kind of like the 70s or 80s, even in the 80s, like really unhip. It was like uncool. It's kind of like how people look at Dixieland or trad jazz.
Yeah.
It was kind of like Hot Club was just like uncool.
Really?
And you would never get a gig at a festival or anything if it was like anything. It's kind of like, oh God, that's kind of like circus music. It's a bit kind of like, they had that reputation,
Really?
had that it wasn't in vogue. And I guess, it's like since I've been involved with it, I've seen it. Like the first Samoa where I was at was like, Borelli was around, and Babik Reinhardt, Django's son, the Rosenbergs, Angelo, Chavelo, and those players, and it used to be really niche, obviously, and it's grown because, I guess at the end of the 90s when we started playing Busking, and then we did those books, and then we did the first couple of festivals over in the States. And then there was, no one knew how to play it there, and it was like they kind of, they were clueless, so they started to play, and then that really took off in the States, There was hot club bands coming out of everywhere, and it's kind of, it literally is like that, like Japan, I was in Hong Kong just before the lockdown, South America, Sao Paulo, States, Canada, Australia. Now it literally is, if you find yourself somewhere on the planet and you're lonely, you're bored, you're going to find some guitarist close by who can play a bit of rhythm,
Yeah, you can't move.
And that's changed. I guess that's in 10 years, that's, where it used to be like really like,
When you say Gypsy Jazz was not in vogue or what have you, because I even today I still get a sense that in parts of the, let's say, jazz community, Gypsy Jazz is looked down upon slightly because it's more traditional chord progressions. It's not that hip.
Yeah.
Was that the case back then also?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that was just more exaggerated, more so back then.
Yeah.
And I think it's got more respect these days because of a lot of the players like Birelli, Adrian Munyard, Sebastian.
Absolutely.
The guys are kind of like awesome jazzmen. Like who their lines and everything is so cool. So it takes it out of that.
Yeah, those guys could play with any jazz musician in the world.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's a weird thing, but I think, and ask all the great jazz guitarists, they're all going to say they've all heard of it. They're all going to say, yeah, those guys can shred, and Mike Stone, I know all those guys, and they really have big respect for the gypsy players,
And what about, because I find gypsy jazz is more accepted in the jazz scene, and it's becoming, I think in pop culture, there's more of an awareness of it. So there was a time like a year or two ago where I'd be scrolling on Facebook and you'll get videos and it'll be like life hack videos or cooking recipe videos. And the music in the background so often was gypsy jazz.
Right.
It seemed like it's just kind of creeping into the public consciousness. Do you think the everyday man on the street is more or less aware of Django and gypsy jazz, or is it still very underground, do you think? Or
I think I think more so, and it's funny, like just talking about this country, the Netherlands, when the Rosenbergs in the 90s, the Rosenbergs kind of became household names in the Netherlands. They played a lot on TV, and they kind of did a lot of theater tours, and it was all the Rosenberg trio, and a lot of people knew, funnily enough, Django through the Rosenberg trio here. I guess still, it's like the Rosenberg trio, then it's like, oh, they played like Django Reinhardt music, But I think different countries are different. But of course, I think it's kind of true. You're hearing those sounds, and I think if you say Django Reinhardt, I think it's just there's more awareness on the street, to normal people.
For sure.
Of that.
you know, I used to do a lot of busking in York, and
Oh yeah,
and York's a great town for busking because it's like a big touristy town, eh?
yeah.
And sometimes, and I'd be doing gypsy jazz, and people would stop and talk to you from time to time. They'd mention Stefan more than they'd mention Django, but you always get people, oh, did you know about his fingers and stuff? And
Yeah.
people like to kind of make themselves look like they know. And one guy said, "Hey lad, you sound a bit like that Django Reinhardt." He said,
Perfect.
I thought, oh, he knows. Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, people do love to think they know what they're talking about and be able to immediately label and say some, some informed facts about the music. But I think there's a real awareness of this music, much more than there used to be, for sure. I think it's just growing more and more. And obviously you've got like the Woody Allen movies.
Sure.
You've got other things like that in cinema.
Did you see the Django Reinhardt movie that came out like a year or two ago?
I haven't seen it.
No, I haven't seen it either.
I know the Rosenbergs did the music for that, and I know it's kind of like a sad film, about the war, about the awful things, and so I was never really drawn to go and see it. I haven't seen it. Obviously, it would be great, and the music I think is fantastic.
Yeah, no, I've listened to the album quite a bit with the Rosenbergs playing the tunes because it's really good.
There you go. Yeah,
it's excellent.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like, it's with listening to music and watching. It's like we're just, like you say, we're scrolling and we're like, we might, even with music, like we don't listen to a full album anymore, would we? Listen. Even Borelli might even not make it to the end of the track. I might just get it's like ridiculous. But.
A funny thing about when I moved to London is, first of all, with the first job I was doing, it was like about an hour commute on the tube.
Oh,
which is a bit of a drag. But the one amazing thing about it was I had an hour in the day complete to myself, and so I could listen to an album from start to finish.
Right.
And I thought I hadn't done that since I was a kid. It was quite weird.
Yeah. That's nice. I guess, that's right. Or in the car, I know, sometimes I'm traveling in the car with someone and they stick something on and you've got a bit of a drive, then you really actually just get to focus on one body of music, which is awesome, right?
Always good. So look, we're getting up to about time. Before we go, obviously nobody really knows when the lockdown is going to finish, but do you have one eye on kind of a post-lockdown, post-apocalyptic world as to any plans? Obviously you've got the Harrison thing, you're going to be recording that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my artistic thing, like my musical thing. I'm working with Martin Taylor on a couple of things. And then I'm all this time, I've got this thing called Gypsy Jazz Club. And it's kind of growing. I've got this little community that I basically help play guitar, and I kind of give them personal, I look after everyone individually as well and give them personal videos, and there's a community and there's lessons. I do like these live lessons. So I'm really concentrating on that. I'm kind of putting as much effort as I can in on that, and that's grown. I do these retreats. So we had one in May in LA, but we moved it to the end of September. So I'm hoping, that seemed so far away when we moved it, but now it's like, oh shit, I wonder if it will. I can't imagine getting an airplane and flying to LA at the moment, but
exactly.
That is looming kind of thing. So hopefully that goes ahead. Then I was playing at Django Fest Northwest, which is the big festival in the States near Seattle. I was playing there. So I'm hoping that's going to be the post-apocalyptic time that you're talking about. And I'm hoping also that it's going to feel amazing. That it's going to feel we appreciate just these simple things of meeting up in the pub and having a jam, or meeting in the park and having a play.
Absolutely.
I think these things are going to feel great and we'll appreciate them.
Well, the lockdown rules here at the minute, they lifted just a tiny bit, whereby you're allowed to meet one other person outdoors 2 meters apart. And they even say you can play tennis, you can do whatever you want as long as you're not touching. So if you're allowed tennis, I think you're allowed jazz.
Yeah.
So I'm teaming up with Harry Ditlock on Wednesday.
Is that the guitarist?
Yeah.
That guy's amazing. Yeah, he's
incredible.
Amazing.
He lives like really close by, like around the corner.
Amazing.
yeah, we're going to team up in the park and record it, and that'll be the next episode of Gypsy Jazz Hangouts.
Oh, way better, way nicer surroundings.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow,
And
great idea.
And that'll be the first time I'll play with somebody for months, I guess.
Yeah, I had one guest here the other week, Adrian Holovati, who's a founder of Sound Slice. He lives in Amsterdam. He's from Chicago, and he came around for a little jam, and it was just awesome. It was just like, whoa, like, because we're all playing with backing tracks, so we're all just kind of playing solo guitar, noodly things, and this and that. But it was just, it's nice. But I think I'm a pretty positive person, so I'm looking forward to it all being great as soon as possible.
Well, speaking of playing in real life, hopefully when the lockdown's done and we're all back out, hopefully it'd be great to be able to do the original podcast we had planned with you in the future one day.
Absolutely. I would love to do that. And I think it's a great thing that you're doing this kind of thing and talking to players. And I think it's wonderful.
Oh,
really fantastic. I look forward to being in London.
Yeah, no, me too, man. And hey, look, really great to meet you. Good luck with the rest of the lockdown.
Yeah, you too.
And we'll talk again soon.
Awesome, mate.
Thanks, Robin.
Cheers, Cornelius.
Cheers, buddy. Bye-bye.
Bye.